Global incarceration. The issue of mass incarceration isn't unique to the United States. In fact, many countries have molded their own prison systems after the U.S. Many prisons around the world see endless violence, riots, and inhumane living conditions. However, there are also many initiatives being taken to improve and in some places revolutionize prisons internationally. Many institutions have shown that access to educational programs is vital to supporting prisoners and improving communities even outside of prisons. The most vital component of providing education to anyone is the teacher. Without them, there is no one to guide students through the learning process or advocate on their behalf. In this presentation, we'll talk about why education in relation to mass incarceration is a global issue and how educating prisoners is an essential step in solving it. Let's first take a look at the prison systems in Africa. Incarceration was introduced to Africa during its European colonial period. In Rwanda, prison systems were instituted by German colonizers. Today, it is the 7th highest ranking country in the world for mass incarceration. Its high incarceration rates are due to its brutal history of genocide. The prisons reached and exponentially surpassed the maximum capacity. Within 8 months, 900 people died from a multitude of diseases because of the poor living conditions. The government then decided to reevaluate the cases in a more traditional, pre-colonial restorative justice system. A great deal of the prisoners were released from incarceration, but instead paid for their crimes in rebuilding the country's roads, schools, etc. Now at a recidivism rate of 36%, it is one of the countries in the world with lower recidivism rates. South Africa, on the other hand, has one of the highest with a 55 to 95% recidivism rate. Its high incarceration and recidivism rates are directly proportional to its excessively high crime rates due to gang violence. Both Rwanda and South Africa are slowly developing programs to rehabilitate the incarcerated to take responsibility for their actions as well as help them address and work through mental and emotional issues. The major difference in recidivism rates can be attributed to the opportunities available for everyone in Rwanda, including the previously incarcerated persons. On the other hand, across South America, many prisons are molded after the U.S. penal system. In particular, the Brazilian criminal justice system has been inspired by the United States' use of solitary confinement. Many state-run prisons in Brazil face rampant gang violence, so to combat this, the country has invested millions of dollars into building supermax prisons in which inmates are completely isolated for most of the day. There is a little opportunity for rehabilitation because very few educational programs are offered. Today, Brazil's prisons are overflowing and recidivism rates are high. The country of Uruguay has many similarities between its prisons and those in Brazil. However, one prison, Punta de Riles, is making great progress towards changing the model of prisons in the area. This facility houses over 600 inmates and offers many rehabilitative opportunities such as business and general education classes, yoga and music programs, and a variety of potential jobs within the prison. Prisoners are able to receive visitors multiple times in a week and maintain connections to their communities at home while also building new ones at Punta de Riles. In Australia, the state of affairs surrounding prisons and those who are incarcerated have become a major issue. The model of the criminal justice system in Australia is based on the European model with some punishments based on indigenous practices. The death sentence is not practiced, but those who are convicted with life imprisonment may not receive parole, thus facing the rest of their life in prison. The prison system also incorporates work to those who are incarcerated, providing labor for companies with an average pay of 82 cents. Those who are imprisoned represent a disproportionate amount of the population. 91% of prisoners are male, while men only represent half of Australia's population. Indigenous Aborigines only make up 2.8% of the population, but 27% of prisoners are Indigenous people. Australia spends over $1 billion on prisons and supermax prisons each year. Most Australians who are convicted of a charge are most likely due to drug-related offenses. There is no rehabilitation provided for prisoners, and those who have mental and physical disabilities are treated just as the same or treated worse with the use of solitary confinement. Prison in Europe is rather interesting. On one hand, you have prisons in Germany and Norway that are organized around resocialization and rehabilitation. Those who are imprisoned have plenty of opportunities to grow financially, spiritually, and mentally. For this reason, Germany and the Netherlands have significantly lower incarceration rates compared to the U.S. Normalization is also one of the main focuses there. Their goal is to make life in prison as similar as possible to life in a community. On the other hand, prisons in Italy are the complete opposite. With a prison population of 53,364 inmates, Italy has the most overcrowded prisons in the European Union. Casa Circondariale and Carcere Giudiziario are the two types of prisons in Italy. In Casa Circondariale, inmates are awaiting trial, while Carcere Giudiziario is filled with inmates who have already been condemned. One of the major issues with Italy's prison system is the processing time for trials. As a result, prisons are overpopulated and inmates experience poor living conditions. Overall, examining prison models around the globe allows us to see new perspectives on handling the crisis of mass incarceration. There are obvious advantages to systems that put an emphasis on rehabilitation. Lower recidivism rates, healthier and happier inmates, and more opportunities for prisoners to engage with their communities are just a fraction of the positive outcomes that occur when educational programs are offered in prisons. Lastly, we would like to leave you with a quote by Boz Dreisinger. While we may be starting to slay our demons in the United States, we have created a monster with tentacles entrenched in our communities across the globe. Peculiar institutions speaking manifold languages from sea to shining sea. Thank you.